أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل وأهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الصادقين المظلومين المنتجبين المنتخبين الذين أذهب اللهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على وصي مصطفى عبدك ووليك وأخي رسولك وحجتك على خلقك وآيتك الكبرى والنبأ العظيم أبا الحسنين مولى القونين إمام الثقلين يأسوب الدين سيد المتقين رأس المحسنين سلطان الأولياء أمير المؤمنين أول المسلمين أسد الله الغالب غالب كل غالب مظهر العجائب علي بن أبي طالب. الحمد لله الذي لا يحتك حجابه ولا يغلق بابه ولا يرد سائله ولا يخيب آمله. أما بعد، فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم من عرف نفسه فقد عرف ربه. Brothers, sisters, respected elders, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You find over the last 2 nights we have been speaking about the human self in its entirety, speaking about what is tabi'ah and indeed what is fitrah, and how these two things are separate but at the same time one and the same, for they harbor a symbiotic relationship with one another, that whatever you do with the body will affect the soul, and whatever you do with the soul will affect the body. And we've realized over the last 2 nights that the path of salvation is indeed to disidentify ourselves from our bodies, and in order to do this we need to kill our ego, and the ego within itself is driven by tabi'ah. Tabi'ah meaning the animal instinct that we have within us. But those of you who are actually pondering about these lectures and not just listening but pondering over them, you find I said something a night or 2 ago, and I said that Islam is a religion that does not want us and does not want our lives to become difficult. It wants to make our lives easier. And Islam is that path that we see from this side of the sphere as a natural path. So then those of you who are here and remember, I said, that is prayer something natural to us? And everyone should have said no, because it's not something that naturally comes to us. You don't come from your mother's womb and know how to pray 4 rak'ah salah, do you? So it's not natural, for example. Or for example, going on the Hajj. When you come out your mother's womb, do you know how to do the Hajj? Do you know the laws? Wallah, we don't even know the laws of how to do wudu properly. Hajj is far away. So you find that none of these things are natural to us. But yet you see, I said what? Islam is the natural path, is the path of salvation. But those of you who do tafakkur will realize that everything within our lives has to become natural. When you come out of your mother's womb, can you walk? You can't walk, can you? You learn to walk. You crawl. Some people don't crawl, they just stand. And then they learn to walk, then they learn to run. You find it's a natural transition. That's what they will say. That is a natural transition. You'll find it is natural for children to do what? It is natural for children to cry when they are hungry or they are agitated. When was the last time you saw a fully grown adult cry because they're hungry? Although we do have some babies in the community. But when was the last time you saw anyone crying over food? You find it is not natural that when one wants to relieve themselves, they just relieve themselves. You find babies are given a diaper. Why? Because they relieve themselves naturally. Whenever they feel the need to do their business, they release. Yes? And some people will know because they've been struck in the face a few times when they're changing nappies. They'll know about those experiences. So you find that that is natural to them. But you find then you make them wear diapers. You teach them how to use a toilet, for example. And you make that natural transition. So when I come forward and say that Islam is the natural path, in order to get onto that path, you have to make the natural transitions to get there. It's very simple. It's not very rocket science. It's very easy to understand that any path that is natural, you have to put the graft in before. Some people will turn around and say, oh, you know, he's naturally gifted at fulan. No, he's not naturally gifted. His father was playing that sport. His grandfather was playing that sport. He was raised to play that sport. How is he naturally gifted? And you find, even within, there's a book called Practice Makes Perfect. And there was a study and they asked Tiger Woods, they said, how did you become such a phenomenal golf player? How? He said, my father taught me golf when I was 3 years old. And I've been playing golf since I was 3. And I focused. He goes, even when I hated it, I still carried on playing. So you find that sometimes what happens, the natural transition is not something that you may like. You may not like it. Who likes to wake up for Fajr? There might be some people who are overly religious in this room. But who likes to wake up for Fajr? Especially when you've slept at 1 o'clock and you have to wake up at 4:30. Who likes to do that? No one likes it. But why do you do it? Because you see the greater goal. You see your natural transition, your soul is going from Nafsul Amara to Nafsul Lawama. Then from Nafsul Lawama is going to Nafsul Mutma'inna. Yes, Nafsul Amara could be defined as the animal self, where you commit a sin, you don't care. Nafsul Lawama is that self that when you commit a sin, you feel guilt. And everyone will know here today that the first time you committed a sin, Did you not feel guilty? Everyone knows that they did. First time, for example, when you took £5 from your mother's purse and she doesn't know, you felt a little bit of guilt. And you find when the sweet came into your mouth, you forgot about the £5. But you find that that's what you realize. Nafsul lawama is that thing that causes guilt within you. But when you continuously sin, then it becomes natural. Once that word comes up again, natural. Because you are taught, we as human beings, and you can ask any psychologist this question, we are creatures of habit. Habit. There are many people here today that after work they'll go home, watch the same program they've been watching for the last 10 years. They'll go do it. There's some people, as soon as they get off work, all they do is spend their life in YouTube. Some people do it. Finding out what's happening next in Kashmir. So you'll find that these are all natural transitions. But there's two types of natural transitions. There's the natural transition of tabi'ah and the natural transition of fitrah. The natural transition of your animal self is that in relation to lazing about, food, anything that you see that is negative. That is you following your body and what your body wants to do. The natural transition of fitrah is going against the body and nourishing the soul. Why do you think there's so many sages, so many mystics in India? All of these, for example, Hindu sages and these Sikh sages in India. How do they reach such spiritual levels? Some of them are actually, not all of them are fake. But the reason to why they reach it is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards anyone who gives effort, who gives time to something. These individuals, they don't eat for days. They don't drink for days. They meditate for 16 hours a day. We try to meditate for 10 minutes and you find our head is going one way and the other. Likewise, the ayatullahs that we have, the mujtahids that we have, all of these individuals, they have spent years and years meditating, working on themselves, not just seeking knowledge. Seeking knowledge, anyone can seek knowledge. And therefore, you find that when you look at the path of salvation, then you have to do the natural transition of the fitrah. You have to work on your soul. And that means ignoring your body. But when you are working on your fitrah, you find that shaitan will come and attack you by creating what? By creating an identity crisis within you. Aporia, we spoke about this. The expression of real or pretended doubt. Shaitan's number one weapon against you is causing doubt in your mind. Doubt when you're, for example, doing wudu. Doubt when you're doing ghusl. Doubt when you're praying. Doubt when you're fasting. Doubt when you're doing hajj. He uses this doubt to create shak within you. And those people who doubt something will realize are under control. Everyone who doubted Abu Abdullah were not on the side of Abu Abdullah, they were on the other side. It allowed shaitan to control all of these people against prophets, against imams. Why? Because they did not work on their souls, they did not work on their hearts. Many of us are here, PhD, doctors, master students, bachelors. MashaAllah, we are training our mind. When was the last time we focused on our heart? When? When was the last time we thought that, you know what? What's more important? What's more important? What's more important? The shell or what's inside? Those of you who love cars here will know, it doesn't matter what's on the outside, it's what's under the bonnet that counts. Yes, sometimes when you're sitting on a red light in your car, and there's this guy with a flashy car, and you find that you've got some banger, But you find under the bonnet of a banger is a machine like no other, and you put your foot down and the new car is left behind, then who looks like an idiot? The person with the new car. So you find, like I said yesterday, it is important to look good in Islam, to smell good in Islam. But if, for example, you are sleeping 8 hours, you have 16 hours left. You spend 2 hours eating, let's just say, for example, yes? You're left with 14 hours. 8 hours you go to work. Yes? From that 14 you've got 6 hours now. Yes? 6 hours you've got left. So from these 6 hours, if you're spending 3 of those hours trying to look good, that's half your free time gone. But what's the point of looking good if you find that when you go 3 feet under and all of your skin, everything is deteriorated, nothing is left apart from your soul? What are you going to say to the angels? Well, at least I look good, don't I? They're going to say, you see this fire stick, this will look very good on your soul. And they will begin to beat you very nicely. So you find that this is what it is. Yes, it is important to focus on your body. I'm not saying, be like like an animal and be like a jungli, as they say, right? I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, grow your beard and look like a caveman either. I'm not saying this, no. But what I am saying is that what is your main focus? Is your main focus this outer shell? Like we said, this avatar, because that's what it is. Those of you who were here yesterday will remember, avatar means what? Comes from the Sanskrit language, yes? And the word is actually avatara, which means when a being goes from a higher level to a lower level, it descends. What did we do? Our souls went from a higher level and descended into this body that is a carrier. And all we're focused on is the carrier. We don't care about the carrier. When was the last time, like I said, we focused on this heart? Because brothers and sisters, the reality is many of us drove here today, didn't we? We drove here. And on the way, maybe someone cut us off. Someone cut us off. I'm sure everyone's been cut off here when they're driving. Or someone's come in front of you. And apart from thinking, you know what, I'm going to do the biggest claim that's ever happened in Sheffield. Apart from that thought that you have, you'll think another thought. What will you think? You'll think to yourself, this scumbag, how dare he cross me? Does he know who I am? Does he know whose son I am? He's probably thinking, I don't know whose son you are, brother. I don't know who you are. Why? Because this is our ego. We let our anger control us. Sometimes imagination. Sometimes we see someone walk past us and we have 1,000 thoughts, isn't it? 1,000 thoughts. And unfortunately, not one of those thoughts is I want to marry the person, but other thoughts. Yes, those of you who know, and those of you who don't know, speak to me after the majlis. I'll explain to you in depth. And you find that in other situations, you find that our desires will overtake us. That for example, you're on a keto diet and someone puts a cookie dough in front of you and you attack that cookie dough like there's no tomorrow. Yes, if you don't know what keto is, you need to Google it because it's good for you. It reduces inflammation, supposedly. But there's doctors here, you can ask them. And you find that the last thing is reason. Reason allows us to reason anything that we have. If we're going to commit a sin, you'll realize when you commit a sin, when was the last time you actually about to commit a sin, you actually thought for a second, what influence this sin will have, what implication will this sin have on my family, on my society, on my religion? Because each and every one of you here today are a representative of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawatullah salamu alayhim. And therefore, we must shatter our ego. We must shatter it. And by shattering our ego, you'll realize that those things that made us angry before won't make us angry anymore. We have to let go of our ego because we identify ourselves with our ego. Someone doesn't give us salam. Brother's probably thinking he's got 101 million different problems, and you're sitting here and he hasn't given you salam, and you've spread it through the whole community. Oh, you know Fulan's son, he's got no respect, didn't give me salam. He probably got bad GCSE results. He probably got 1,000,001 problems. Why is it that we're always thinking about us? Brother, who are you that he's going to give you salam? Are you his dad? Are you an imam? Are you a prophet of God? Have you showered wisdom on the community that the community has become religious? Who are we? Who do we think we are? The reality is you're going to be 6 foot under. It doesn't matter who you are. Whether you're a prophet, whether you're imam, you're going to be 6 foot under. And the only thing that's going to matter is your deeds on that day. That's the only thing that will matter. We're so proud about our culture. We're so proud that we're this, we're that, we've done this, we've got this. Frankly speaking, who cares? Who cares? Who cares what you've got? You might be wearing £1,000 worth of clothing. Go to Africa, you're £1,000 worth of clothing. You tell them this is Montclair. They look at you and say, what's this? You said this is a watch. They said we've never seen a watch in our lives. It looks like a piece of uselessness. Throw in the bin. So who are you trying to show? Sometimes I just don't understand people. We've got so much ego within us. So much ego. Oh, you know what? He went to ziyarat. He didn't come to visit me, so I'm never going to visit him. What's wrong with you, man? 2 wrongs make a right. If you don't go, he didn't come to my wedding, I'm not going to go to any of his children's wedding. Brother, he probably had a car accident. Did you ring him and ask him, brother, why didn't you come? He probably might be a cancer patient. What do you know about other people, what's going on in their lives? All we're concerned about is me. We're just like little babies. You know when the baby cries, the mother has to go to it. You know, if you want to look at true selfishness, then look at children. Isn't it? Look at children. He relieves himself, you have to go clean him. He's got a problem, he'll cry, you have to go sort it out. Yeah, he falls, you tell him not to fall. He falls, you have to go sort that out. He's got something stuck in his throat, take him to hospital. You find that we're like little children, but we just forgot to grow up. That's the only thing, we just forgot to grow up. That's the only thing. We grew beards. Yes, we got married, we had kids, but we're still little kids. Because you can't let go of the ego. Our ego is so big, so huge, that we think when we walk on this earth, we think we are the king. Isn't it? We think we're the king. And that's why you find Bahlul, one day what he did, he went into Harun al-Rashid's prison and he opened the prison door and all of them went out. When they all went out, he went to the graveyard, he ran away to the graveyard. So Harun al-Rashid tracked him down and went to the graveyard. And when he went to the graveyard, he said, Bahlul, those of you who don't know Bahlul, he was a companion of the 6th Imam. He said, Bahlul, why did you release all those companions? You know you have to go find each and every one of them now. He said, why are you in the graveyard? He goes, Harun, can I ask you a question? He's a Khalifa of his time. Yes? All the money, all the power, everything you can imagine. Biggest ego in the whole of Islamic empire. So why are you in the graveyard? He says, Harun, do you see this skeleton? He says, I see it. He says, do you see that skeleton? He says, I see it. He goes, what's the difference between the two? He goes, nothing, they're both skeletons. He goes, did you know one was a king in his time and one was a pauper? One was a king and one was a pauper. And he turns around and he says, Harun, listen, when you go to your grave and go in front of Allah, it doesn't matter if you're a king or a pauper, you're judged on your deeds. Ask yourself this question, that how big is your ego and how big are the good deeds that you've done in your life? And if you've done these good deeds, who have you done them for? It's a very important question. You know, we have Q&As afterwards in the back. I've got a question as well. Who are you doing your deeds for? Are you doing it for your mum and dad? Because if that's the case, then go ask them for sawab. Because Allah is not going to give it to you. If you come here to pray and you're doing it to show other people that you're here, then ask your ajr from the people, because Allah won't give you nothing. I'm telling you, He'll give you nothing. Whatever you do, if you do not do it for the happiness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala going to reward you? You've never done it for Allah. If you haven't done something for Allah, then why should He give you reward? You didn't do it for Him. You done it for the people. So go ask the people for your reward. You know, it's become a trend, hasn't it, to go on ziyarat. One guy goes on ziyarat, you'll find suddenly this other guy's going to ziyarat. He's never prayed in his life. But because he's gone to ziyarat, I have to go to ziyarat. It's not competition. It's not competition. You're not having competition. Who can go to ziyarat and who can go to hajj and who can do the most hajj. I know this one uncle, I'm not going to mention his name. But I know this one uncle, he's done 8 hajj. 8 hajj. Wallah, you ask him one ruling about hajj, he doesn't know nothing. Not one ruling. Uncle, you've done 8 hajj, name me one ruling. Nothing. Absolutely zero. So uncle, can you read? Yes, I can read. Uncle, what's your English like? Brilliant. Uncle, can you read and write Urdu? Yeah, of course I can. Uncle says it's been translated, everything's translated in Urdu. Even English is not as good as Urdu in terms of translation. You don't know the rulings. You've been on 8 hajj, mashallah. Where are we? What are we doing? Who are we doing these good deeds for? Ask yourself this question. You need to ask yourself. Next time you do a good deed, ask yourself, I'm giving charity, and then I'm telling Muki Saab, you know, the guy who's got the mic, can you mention Fulan's name and do this for this Fatiha for this amount of people? You know what? You probably would have been better off not telling anyone and asking the ajr from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Probably would have got you more further. And people do it, isn't it? You know what they'll do? They say, and it's funny because some of the communities, they do it on purpose. So they'll gather all the community in an AGM meeting, and what they'll do is, so who wants to give charity today towards the mosque? We need to build something. So one person had £200. The uncle looks and says, you want to give £200? No problem, brother. £500! Oh, mashallah. This other uncle looking in the back, he's got no money in his pocket, and he says, £2,000! Wallah, you chase those people 3 years and never give the £2,000. Never! You never get the money. But why did they say it? Because everyone else is saying it. That's the only reason. How many people do you know? You got to chase them. You give them some money. I remember once, brother, I tell you, I give someone £50. What's £50? That's one meal. You take 3 people, that's £50. It took me 2 years to get the £50 back from him. 2 years! I forgot about the £50. Suddenly out of the blue, he said, it's £50. I was thinking to myself, I hope he doesn't give on the day of judgment. I'm going to really grab him on. Yeah? All my sins can go to him. I'm free. So you find that, look, what, all jokes aside, you know, the crux of the discussion is this, and it's very simple. It's very simple. Who are you doing your good deeds for? You have to seriously ask yourself this question. There's no point of coming here, Muharram, listening to Maulana Saab and, you know, yali, mashallah, mashallah, go out the door, drink tea and start doing ghiba of every single person in the world. And what's the point? Why did you even turn up to Majlis? You should just go home, watch Geo TV, at least you're not doing ghiba of anyone. You're better off watching something and not sinning here. I don't understand why other people have to get up in other people's business and they have to one-up everyone, and there's always this constant competition. You know, there's a story of a man. It's a very funny story and it's sad as well at the same time. And the story goes like this, you know, there's a man who prays. And this man, he prays every single day and he's always on the musalla. So one day, Shaitan goes next to the guy and he starts praying. And he prays more prayers. He prays better prayers. He prays more beautifully. So the man stops praying. Everyone knows this man as the most religious man in the village. He looks at Shaitan. Shaitan comes as an old man with a white beard. He looks at Shaitan and he says, "Excuse me, I need to speak to you." He said, "Listen, man, I'm busy, I'm praying here, yeah? Just move to the side." No problem. So he waits. So Shaitan finishes his prayers. And he says, "What's your problem? You know, what's wrong? What's up?" He says, I want to know how you became so religious." And Shaitan said to him, he said, "I was like you once. I was kind of religious." He was the most religious man in the village. Kind of religious. Remember aporia, yes? Remember the doubt. Keep that in mind. He says, "You know, you're kind of religious. I used to be like you." He goes, "But then I did this one sin. I've done this one sin and I became even more religious." You know, it's like when you go on a diet. Yes, you're 7 days into your keto and someone says, "Have a slice of pizza. You'll do a better diet. You'll be stronger. Have the cheat meal." That cheat meal turns into a cheat month. Yeah, have the cheat meal. It's exactly the same principle. Go there, do the sin. So he says he goes there, and a lady comes in front of him. And she says, "Why are you here? You're supposed to be a religious man. What are you doing here?" He says, "I've been told by this old man to commit a sin with you." She turns around and says, "People like you shouldn't be here. And whoever told you was wrong. And have fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He is always watching you." Even though that woman was a bad woman, she still had something good to say and saved that man. But what the message here is this: brothers and sisters, be careful. Be careful, because sometimes Shaitan even uses religion to ensnare you into evil. What, you think you said that you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you believed and now you are free to go to heaven? The hurdles will be thrown at you from left and from right. And Shaitan will throw those hurdles. No matter what happens, he will always attack you. Therefore, you find that in Surah Al-Imran in 145, verse 145, Allah says in the Holy Quran, He says, "Whoever wants this world, we will give it to him. And whoever wants the hereafter, we will give it to him." Brothers and sisters, whatever you want is a choice. Everything in your life is a choice. What do you want from this life? Because if you want to know how to want the dunya, I can tell you. You pray 2 rak'ah salah and at the end of it you do dua. You say, "Ya Allah, I don't need Ahlul Bayt. I'm not interested in your religion. I'm not interested in what you have to offer me. I want this dunya and I want you to repay me all the good deeds I did." What did Shaitan do? Done the same thing. Isn't that what he did? Shaitan turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, "I've been praying for thousands of years." So Allah said to him, "What do you want?" Allah is merciful. Allah said, "What do you want?" He says, "I want life till the day of judgment, so that I can misguide your community." Do what Shaitan did. You want the world? Take it. I'm not saying that's what you should do, but if you want to do that, you can. That's your choice. But remember this. Once you ask for the world, then there's no way back. There's no way back. Yazid. Everyone sends la'an on him, doesn't they? Everyone sends la'an on Yazid. Why? Because he killed Abu Abdullah. Yes? Everybody knows this. He said to the 4th Imam, the son of Abu Abdullah, he said, "Give me a prayer I can pray that I will gain forgiveness." Imam says, between Maghrib and Isha, pray Salatul Ghufayla. If you don't know what that is, Google it. Salatul Ghufayla. Pray that prayer and Allah, ask for the dua, ask for forgiveness, Allah will forgive you. Yazid says himself that I tried to pray the prayer and I could not pray the prayer. Because once Allah puts a seal on your heart, then no one is going to remove that seal. No one will remove that seal. Inna nafsa la'ammaratin bisu'i illa ma rahima rabbi. Remember the verse that I mentioned yesterday. Surely the soul is inclined towards evil after you've done all those bad deeds. Of course it will be. Inclined towards evil, except for the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Except for the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore you find, brothers and sisters, I ask you this simple question, that if the heart is pure, and one black dot gets into the heart, what happens? It ruins everything, doesn't it? Now I'll ask you a simple question, that if, for example, I was to give you a bucket of water and I put a drop of urine into it, a drop, would any of you drink it? None of you would, unless you're a bit strange. And then in that case you should seek help. But if anyone was to drink it, that would be really weird and strange. Because there's a drop of urine within that water. It's become najis, the water, everything. Finished. Likewise, your heart is such. And that is exactly what happened in Karbala. Their hearts became hardened. That today we come and mourn who? We come and mourn that 6-month-old baby, isn't it? You've come here to cry for the 6-month-old baby, the son of Rabab. You've come to cry for him, haven't you? Why is it that no one offered him water? They said the army began to cry, but no one offered him any water, isn't it? When Rabab went to Abu Abdullah and said, Abu Abdullah, I know it's difficult for you, but my milk has dried up and we have no water. Please, can you get some water for the 6-month-old baby? You find Abu Abdullah took the baby, he kissed the baby, 6-month-old baby. Imagine a 6-month-old baby in your hands right now. How big is the 6-month-old baby? He goes in the burning heat and he says to the army men, he goes, if you do not want to give me water, then don't. But then at least take the baby, give the water baby. Give the baby some water. You find if you don't trust me, I'll put the baby on the ground. He put the baby on the ground, on that burning ground. He said, give the baby some water. No one gave him any water. He picked up the baby. He said, please, oh army, give the baby some water. At this point you find Shimr and Umar ibn Sa'd, they say to Hurmala, release your arrow. They say he tries once to release the arrow and the arrow doesn't get released. Second, it doesn't work. The third time he doesn't get any arrow, he gets the arrow that's to kill camels. Imagine how small a baby, how big is a camel? 3-headed arrow. 3-headed arrow. They say Hurmala releases the arrow, and as the arrow moves through the air, the baby is moving like, you know when you see a chicken move. It's moving like this, it's moving. It sees the arrow coming and the arrow strikes on the arm of Abu Abdullah and pierces through the arm and strikes the baby. And when it strikes the baby, people say that it struck the baby on the neck. Brother, let me tell you, how big is a camel? How big is a 3-headed arrow? How big is the neck of a baby? No, brothers, it struck the neck of the baby, the chest of the baby, the stomach of the baby. And you find in the hands of Abu Abdullah is the blood of the 6-month-old baby. And you know when you see a fish gasping for water and is moving left and is moving right, the baby is flocking like this, moving left and right in the hands of Abu Abdullah, and eventually the baby stops moving. Eventually the baby stops moving, and when the baby stops moving, Abu Abdullah has the blood of the baby in his hands. He wants to throw the blood towards the skies, and the poets say that the skies say that we will not rain any water if the blood comes near us. Abu Abdullah wants to throw the blood on the ground, and the ground says that we will not give any crops if you throw the blood of the baby on the ground. I say, Amir al-Mu'mineen, when Ibn Muljam struck you on your head, the blood that came upon your bed was your own blood. Come towards Karbala and see Abu Abdullah wiping Ali al-Askar's blood on his bed. And you find that after this was done, you find he went back to Rubab. Rubab began to cry, and they buried the 6-month-old baby. And when they buried the 6-month-old baby, brothers, that was not it. That's not what happened. The story continues. What happens? They strike all the heads off the bodies and they put them on spears. And one Mal'oon says, there was a 6-month-old baby. Where's the baby's head? We must put that on spear. We must put that on the spear. So a man begins to get a spear and strikes the ground, strikes the sand where the baby is buried. He strikes in such a way that the spear, he begins to lift the body of the baby. He removes the head of the 6-month-old and begins to braid it on the spear. Allah la'natullah ala al-qawm al-zalimin.